Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Ling, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the emotional language that's key to attracting and closing more full arch implant cases. So how often do you have this situation in your office where you have the perfect consult? It's an ideal candidate with tons of bone, a low smile line, low aesthetic demands. It's a slam dunk case. You go through and do the perfect case presentation. You wow them with your models and your cone beam and your scans and your tech. You even play them an animation of how the implants work and take them on a tour of your office and show them your army of 3D printers. And then the patient says, yeah, that sounds great, but just let me think about it. You can transform this patient's life, but they just don't get it. They think it's too expensive. They want a second opinion. They want to price shop this. And there goes $50,000 walking out your door. So what do most dentists do to try to close more of these cases? The conventional wisdom is to educate more, to show off more, to wow the patient with your wisdom, your expertise, your toys, your tech, your digital workflow, and still the patient doesn't budge. And then the last card that you're then forced to play if you want to do any of these arches is cheaper prices. And then they'll complain to their buddies online. My patients just don't value my expertise. All they want is the cheapest. They don't value dentistry. They don't value dentistry or their health. And that's because most dentists are stuck talking dentistry. Our patients are not dentists. They don't understand or care about dentistry. And if we are speaking dentistry and the patient doesn't understand dentistry, then the only common language we have with our patients is price. So today I'm going to reveal the communication framework that consistently attracts and closes more full arch patients without offering discounts. It's a matter of shifting your message from the features of your implants to the brighter future that your patient can look forward to. It's simpler than you think, and it's different than any other dentist in your area. And this is what sets you apart as the trusted authority from every other dentist around you who's talking dentistry and features and price. If you follow this framework, you're going to be the one dentist who makes patients feel different because of the way that you talk to them. Now, why does this matter? This might be one of the most important things you learn if you want to close more implant cases, because this concept of future, not features, shows up all over the place in our full arch funnel. Mastering these communication skills is going to help you write better ads. And when those ads take the user to a website or a landing page, the language on that landing page is going to be so much more powerful, which means more patients are going to take the next step. And when you're nurturing these leads and warming them up until they're ready for a consult, the same language is going to motivate them to choose you over every other dentist ad that they see. And then, of course, in your consultation, I'm going to show you how to continue to use this language to get around price barriers and get to the core reasons that truly motivate people to take action. So here's the problem. As dentists, we're trained to be analytical. Most dentists love the precision and the technical aspect of our job. These are the features of dentistry, and most of us like to think about these features logically, but that's not how our patients think. This is a fundamental of human psychology, that people are not motivated by logic. If people were motivated by logic and not emotion, then nobody would smoke cigarettes anymore. Everybody knows it's a horrible habit, really dangerous and unhealthy. But have you ever tried to convince a smoker that they should quit? There's no logic involved. They continue smoking for emotional reasons. It's the same with junk food. If we made logical decisions about the food we put in our body, then fast food restaurants would be completely out of business. But that's not true. Business is booming because they know that people eat unhealthy food because it makes them feel good. What about your retirement savings? If logic dominated our decision making, then everybody would max out their retirement savings and not waste their money on junk and garbage every single day. And how easy would our jobs as dentists be if our patients made treatment decisions based on logic? But they don't. They constantly make decisions that we know are bad for them, but they do it for some emotional reason because it makes them feel good. And there's nothing wrong with this. This is human nature. We buy feelings and then we find reasons to justify our completely irrational and illogical decisions. Whether it's upgrading our iPhone when last year's model was perfectly fine. Or buying a designer watch or purse and trying to justify it to yourself by saying it's the craftsmanship, it's the materials, it's the design. Or a sports car, which is a purchase that's completely based on emotion. There's no logical reason for anyone to own these cars, yet we still buy them because it makes us feel good. So how do we apply this knowledge about human psychology and decision making to closing more full arch implant cases? First, we have to understand what really motivates our patients. Now, in my practice, once in a while, I'll meet a patient who has a lot of physical pain and discomfort in their mouth. They're in constant pain from broken teeth and infections, and they want something done right away, and they end up getting their teeth pulled and replaced with full arch implants. And that's fantastic. Those are amazing cases to do and life-changing for that patient. But that's the 1% of cases. 99% of the cases I see are not experiencing any physical pain in their mouth. Instead, what they're suffering from is emotional pain. They're suffering from embarrassment. They're suffering from embarrassment, of feeling ashamed and judged, of feeling left out. Those are the emotional reasons why 99% of my patients end up getting full arch implants. It's not physical pain, it's psychological and mental and emotional pain. And the better that we understand the language of that pain, the better we'll be able to connect with these patients. Most dentists only scratch the surface of the patient's emotional pain. At the surface, almost all of our patients are suffering from missing and broken teeth. And that's where most dentists stop. They see a patient with missing and broken teeth, and they immediately launch into their speech about full arch implants. But the deeper you can peel back these layers and get to the real root cause of our patient's emotional and psychological pain, the stronger our connection gets, because no other dentist has taken the time to understand them the way that we understand them. When we connect with a patient and make them feel understood and make them feel different than every other dentist they've talked to in the past, that means no more price shopping, no more looking for discounts. We're now the trusted authority because of the way that we made them. So if the first layer of emotional pain is missing and broken teeth, if we peel that layer back one more, we discover that it's not really the missing and broken teeth that's bothering them. It's the fact that they can't eat and they can't smile. But if we go even one layer deeper, it's the fact that they're embarrassed about their condition. And the embarrassment, it causes poor self-esteem. And the poor self-esteem comes from the fear of being judged. And now we're getting deeper and deeper into the emotional core of the patient's true pain and suffering. And we know that we completely understand this patient's pain and suffering when we can understand what stories run through their head and keep them up at night. We've heard all of these stories before from our patients. It might be something like, I went for a job interview today, and the whole time I was in my interview, I could tell the interviewer wasn't even listening to what I was saying. They were staring at my teeth the whole time, and they probably judged me because of my teeth and thought that because my teeth were unhealthy, that the rest of me was unhealthy, and that I was poor and uneducated and not worthy of getting hired, and I never even had a chance. That's the story that's running through this patient's mind, and that's the real cause of their emotional pain. Or what about the other story that I'm sure we've all heard before, where the patient will come in and say, I've had these dentures in my mouth for 30 years. I never even let my spouse see me without my dentures. Lately, they've been slipping and moving, and I'm really embarrassed to even go close to my wife because I don't want to kiss her, and then my teeth fall out, and also smell the bad breath that's coming from these dentures because all kinds of food is getting stuck. So the root pain that this kind of patient is suffering from is the embarrassment of not being able to kiss their wife. That's a really deep emotional pain that, if we understand, will set us apart as trusted authority and different from every other dentist. I'm sure you've heard all these stories and more, and these life-changing stories are what probably motivated you to get into full arch implants. This is a much more emotional journey and a transformative procedure than things like filling class 2 decay all day long. Implants are a completely different ballgame and require a completely different language. Because nobody wants an implant. Nobody wants all-on-4. What they really want is to be able to play with their grandkids and not have to worry about their stinky breath. They want to be able to go out for dinner with their friends and not feel like they're old or inadequate or have to sneak away in the middle of the meal to take their teeth out in the sink and wash them and then put them back and rush back to dinner. They don't want to feel judged when they meet new people. And they want to rekindle their relationships and be able to kiss their spouse. And without connecting with patients on this emotional level, then you're just a tooth fixer, a mouth mechanic. You're the same as every other dentist. Almost any dentist can screw in an implant. And if all the dentists are the same, then me as the patient am just going to try to find the cheapest one. Now, a lot of dentists will say to their patients, I'm different. I'm not like that cheap guy down the street. I'm better because of this, and therefore you should value me more and pay me more, and that's why my prices are higher. But the real key in setting yourself apart from that dentist down the street is not to keep saying that you're different. It's to prove you're different by how you make your patient feel. So here's the future, not features framework for full arch implants. It's all about focusing your message on the patient's desired future, their brighter future, the way their life is going to change, and less on the features of your treatment. In other words, talk less about you and more about the most important thing on the patient's mind and the number one influence on their decision making, and that's what's in it for them. So here's how we would put future, not features, into action. If we're talking to our patient about implants, it's really easy for us to geek out about all the amazing things that we can do. I often hear doctors brag about their actual implants. They'll say something like, we use top-of-the-line titanium implants with a special surface treatment for optimal osseointegration. And that's probably true and really cool, but patients don't care. Instead, if you were going to apply future, not features, we would say something like, your new teeth will be rock solid, so you can eat steak, corn on the cob, chewy bread, raw veggies, anything you want without ever having to worry about your teeth. Your patient doesn't care about their implant. They care about being able to eat. What's in it for them? Here's another example. Do you ever have a patient who's in a consult and has done a little bit of homework in the past and asks you, so what are my new teeth going to be made out of? And the classic dentist answer would be to say something like, these are monolithic zirconia teeth on a titanium bar, which is the best combination of aesthetics and strength. And that's all features, no future. So instead, if you want to apply more emotional language and use future, not features, you could say something like, your new teeth will be made out of the longest lasting, most natural looking material available so that you'll be able to laugh, talk, smile, take photos, and eat whatever you want with total confidence. So you're answering the question, but immediately framing it in terms of, so what? What's in it for them? We full arch dentists love getting rid of patients' dentures. We know how much our patients hate dentures, and one of our favorite things to do is take these dentures and throw them in the garbage. And because of that, we often get really excited about getting rid of people's dentures. We'll say something like, this treatment eliminates the need to wear a removable prosthetic, which again is true and amazing that you can do that, but it doesn't answer the most important question on the patient's mind. So what's in it for me? So if you wanted to add more emotional language, you would say something instead, you can finally get rid of your dentures for good. Imagine what it would feel like to never again have to deal with messy denture glue, your teeth sliding and rubbing when you talk, or taking your teeth out at night and soaking them in a glass of water. In other words, imagine the brighter future that's ahead of you. Any sedation docs out there, if you're doing full arch implants, you're probably doing some form of sedation. And most dentists will say something like, we offer IV sedation administered by a certified anesthesiologist. And again, high five, that's amazing. But who cares? So what? It's so much more powerful if you can reframe that same message in a way that focuses on future, not features. And here's how you would do it. We know nobody likes visiting the dentist. That's why at our practice, you can have a completely comfortable, anxiety-free visit and probably even fall asleep. And when you wake up, you're going to have a brand new, life-changing smile without any fear or stress. I know a lot of you full arch docs these days have your own in-house lab, whether it's scanners, printers, even mills. Super cool technology, and I love it as much as anybody. Who doesn't care? Our patients. So instead of saying something like, we use a fully digital immediate load protocol and an in-house lab, I would rather say something like, what used to take dozens of visits over a period of months can now be done in a single day. You'll walk in our office with a mouthful of broken down teeth and in a few hours walk out with a brand new, life-changing smile and a new sense of confidence. And you'll never have to deal with a loose denture or taking your teeth out of your mouth ever. Now, which of these two sentences do you think is more powerful? Which is going to connect at a deeper emotional level with your patient? Which is going to motivate that patient more to move forward? And if this patient was comparing two dentists, one who said it the first way and one who said it the second way, which one do you think they're going to choose, even if it costs a little bit more money? So these examples that I showed you can all be used in your case presentation. When you're talking to your patients during a consult, the challenge is going to be to fight the urge to lecture and teach. Your patients are not in your chair for a dental 101 lecture. You're going to have to force yourself to use fewer we words and more you words. And make it a point when you're describing something to your patient to always tie it back to the one question that's most important in their minds, which is, so what? What's in it for them? Full arch marketing is one area where future, not features, can help you dominate your competition. Because 99% of dentists out there are talking dentist to their patients. Here's a typical ad for full arch implants. The headline says, dental implants, a perfect solution for missing teeth. Save $5,000 on All-on-X. Upper and lower full mouth restoration. This is all features, no future. But let's see how we could rewrite this headline using future, not features. Now, I don't love the idea of the $5,000 off, but for the purposes of this example, we're going to keep that offer in there just to show you how this works. So a better headline than dental implants, the perfect solution for missing teeth, you could write something like, hate your dentures, get permanent teeth, and save $5,000. Okay, that's not bad. That's a more emotional statement, hate your dentures, than dental implants, for sure. And I think an ad with this headline would do much better than an ad with this headline. Another way you could write it is, missing teeth, smile again in just one visit. And then we'll say plus save $5K. Okay. One more alternative to this headline would be something like, ready to eat, smile, and live with confidence again. And then you could, again, with the offer in there, you could say save $5,000. Ontario residents only. But any of these headlines would be way better than a headline that literally says dental implants are the perfect solution for missing teeth. There's no emotion there. It's all logic, all features, and it's trash. And not only is it trash, but it's the same as every other dentist in town. They're all speaking dentist and not speaking emotions. Now that was the headline of the ad. When you click on the ad, it displays some text here. And I'll read it out loud in case it's hard to read on the screen. Hello, Ontario residents. Ditch those annoying dentures. Yeah, it's not bad. Dr. X's team has years of expertise in teeth replacement and is here to help you get a fresh start on your smile and regain your confidence. Not terrible. For a limited time, save $5,000 on All-on-X implants. This includes all of 4 all-in-6 teeth in a day. Okay, so not bad. They're making an attempt with the ditch those dentures, which is okay. Regain your confidence is okay. But it's still very bland, vanilla, and boring. It's still 90% logic and 10% emotion. And it really should be the other way around. So if we're going to rewrite this ad, I would try something like, tired of gluing in your messy, loose dentures. Imagine eating steak and chewy bread. Bread again without worry. Dr. X helps Ontario residents ditch their dentures and get permanent teeth in just one day. Okay? And I think this here, if I was to rewrite this, is a million times better. Tired of gluing in your messy, loose dentures? Imagine eating steak and chewy bread again without worry. Dr. X helps Ontario residents ditch their dentures and get permanent teeth in just one day. Let's do one more variation just to show you how versatile Future Not Features is and how you can apply it in many different ways. The last version focused on people who hated their dentures. This one I'm going to write embarrassed to smile. Embarrassed to smile. Dr. X helps Ontario residents reclaim their smiles, their health, and their lives with life-changing permanent teeth and it's all done in a single day. Smile again with confidence. Stop hiding your smile. You deserve it. You deserve to be proud of your smile. Okay? Now, if we were to test these ads against each other, this ad number 1 versus this ad number 2, I'm not sure how many people would put money on ad number 1. Ad number 2 may not be a million times better than ad number 1, but it's going to be some percent better. And if it's only 5% better, 10% better, remember how the funnel works. 10% better ad means 10% more people who visit your website, 10% more consults, and 10% more treatment at the end. So you only need to do a little bit better to get a huge result at the end of your funnel. Here's one more crazy example to show you how you can apply Future Not Features literally everywhere. This is a full arch dentist bio from their website. And a biography is by definition a story about the dentist. But how can we apply the principles of Future Not Features to make a biography more about the reader? Here's the original biography, and I bet it sounds familiar because all dentist biographies sound exactly the same. Dr. X graduated from blank university with a first-class honors degree in biochem and earned his doctor of dental surgery degree at the University of blank, graduating with distinction. Wow. Dr. X was one of the first dentists in blank to perform the all-on-4 new teeth in a day procedure and has even performed live surgeries at courses teaching the all-on-4 new teeth on implants procedure. Dr. Blank has been providing full mouth implant services for over 10 years, and most of those satisfied patients still attend his practice to this day. I'm not sure that's something to brag about. Dr. X travels regularly for continuing education to keep abreast of developments in the fields of dental implantology and cosmetic dentistry. He studied with many of the leaders in the fields of dental implantology, including Dr. Kois, Paolo Malo, Dr. Mish, and Frank Spear. Super impressive. I guess the only things missing from this typical dentist biography are what associations you belong to and what you like to do in your spare time. This biography is awful. I'm not sure who this dentist is trying to impress, other than maybe other dentists. But I can guarantee you, patients don't care that you've trained with Paolo Malo and Frank Spear. So here's how I would rewrite this doctor's biography to make it less about him and more about his patients. Here's the rewrite. Dr. Smith understands what it's like to live with broken, missing, or embarrassing teeth. He knows how stressful it can be to have not just physical discomfort in your mouth, but also the toll it can take on your self-confidence and self-esteem. That's why 15 years ago, Dr. Smith decided to focus his career on helping people struggling with major dental problems and who had nowhere else to turn reclaim their confidence with same-day implants. Back in 2010, Dr. Smith became one of the very first dentists in all of Ontario to offer same-day implants, making this world-class life-changing transformation available in our very own Burlington community. Since then, through firsthand experience, traveling globally to learn and collaborate with world implant leaders and even teaching other doctors, Dr. Smith has seen it all. No matter how bad your situation seems or how hopeless it feels, Dr. Smith wants you to know that if fixing your smile is important to you, then there is an answer. Because Dr. Smith knows change is possible, he wants you to remember. You deserve to eat and smile with confidence again. You deserve to feel free to be yourself. And you deserve to finally be proud of the way you look and feel. So if you're ready to smile again, Dr. Smith can help. Future, not features. We just turned a biography into a message that connects with the reader. This is the type of language that you can use in your case presentation, in your marketing, even in your website biography, to connect at a deeper level with your patients and set you apart from every other dentist in your area who's only talking dentist and pricing. I know there's people watching this out there who are saying that that's great, but what happens if the patient asks about steps and details? Am I just supposed to ignore those things? And the answer is no, of course not. Leading with emotion doesn't mean ignoring logic completely. Remember, people use emotions as the primary motivator to make decisions, but they still justify those emotions with logic. So they still need some logical reason to go ahead. I just want you to shift that focus, where instead of it being 99% logic and 1% emotion, now maybe it's 90% emotion and 10% logic. And if a patient asks you a question like this, you tell them the truth, but then you refocus on what's in it for them. So what? For example, sometimes patients will ask, all on 4, all on 6, how many implants are you going to give me, doc? 4 or 6? And I know it would be easy for me to jump into a lecture about how do we decide how many implants we need and how much space we should have between the implants and the bone volume and the AP spread. And that would be really cool if I was talking to another dentist, but not cool when I'm talking to my patient. Instead, I'll tell them, Mrs. Jones, I'm really not sure how many implants I'm going to place right now. There's a dozen factors that impact the number of implants we use. What I can tell you, though, is in the end, we're going to use the right number of implants for you. And that's the number that gives you the best long-term result with the fewest chances of long-term problems and gets you the nicest looking, most comfortable, most easy to clean set of teeth that's humanly possible. Another question I often get when I talk to dentists about future, not features, is what about informed consent? If you're just glossing over all these details, aren't some of these details really important in order to get informed consent from your patient? And the answer is, again, absolutely yes. In our office, the informed consent conversation is completely separate from the case acceptance conversation. We're talking case acceptance right now. And when we're having a case acceptance conversation with our patient, at this point, everything in the world is perfect. Everything is rosy. Everything is great. We're trying to keep them focused on the brighter future, the transformation that they can expect when they go ahead with this treatment. Now, once they accept treatment, then we have the informed consent conversation. And the informed consent conversation is almost the opposite of the case acceptance conversation. Now we're doom and gloom. Now we're going to talk about all the things that can possibly go wrong. Now we're almost going to undersell the procedure, so we set our expectations lower. And if the patient at that point gets scared, says, hold on a second, I didn't know all these things could happen. I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. That's a good thing. That's what informed consent is all about. If the patient doesn't have the opportunity to say, I changed my mind, I don't want to do this, then you don't really have informed consent anyways. So I want to leave you with this. If you're a travel agent and a young couple came to you to plan their honeymoon to Hawaii, would you talk to that young couple about, you're going to have to take 2 connecting flights, and one of those connections is really tight, so you're probably going to have to run from gate to gate. And on that long flight, I can only get you guys separate seats and the middle seats in a really tiny old airplane. And then it's like a 3-hour drive from the airport to the resort on a really bumpy road, and you're probably going to get car sick, and don't worry, they can just pull over to the side and let you throw up whenever you want. Do you think that would be a really compelling way to get this young couple excited about their holiday? No, of course not. If you were trying to get these honeymooners excited about their honeymoon, you're not going to sell the plane, you're going to sell the destination. Can you guys imagine what it's going to be like to watch the sunset on the beach while you have a Mai Tai in one hand and a fish taco in the other? Or can you imagine what it's going to be like taking a walk under the stars? It's going to feel like you guys are on a different planet and it's just the two of you, and it's going to be the perfect way to kick off your marriage. You're selling the destination, not the airplane. And it's the same as when we're talking to our patients. We know that this is life-changing. We're selling the transformation. We're selling the brighter future where they can have the smile of their dreams and eliminate all of their pain and frustration. We're not selling titanium and zirconia. I hope this video helped and opened your eyes to new ways to connecting and communicating with your patients by just changing your message to future, not features. If you found this helpful, please leave a comment below and we'll see you next time.